Hey everybody, welcome to How to Tell If Your House is Haunted. Um, so, so I'm guessing if you're checking out this video, then you're either curious to see if we're full of crap, or you actually like have something going on in your house that's like maybe freaking you out, or you're just interested in seeing what else is out there.
Yeah. Well, because, the only way in which people get a lot of the information that they have about those kinds of things are from the media or from scary movies or things like that. So sometimes you can perceive some stuff in a house and either go into curiosity about it or go into total freak out. So, like, we would just love to give people some information so that they can be more curious about what's actually going on instead of freak out. So, how to get
Yeah.
better than that? Yeah.
Yeah. How can you tell if your house is actually haunted? Well, it's actually by the energy of it and by what you know. Like, does it feel weird? Does it feel funky?
Hmm.
Is there like stuff like moving, or is like stuff breaking all the time? Um,
Right.
yeah, all those different things are indications that there might be an entity. We'll call them entities from now on. That there's an entity like, um, in your house or trying to get your attention. And the thing from there that you want to do is just ask a question: is
Hmm.
this an entity? And that's the difference that like talk to the entities, which is the thing that Cara and I both do,
Yep.
is that it empowers you to ask questions.
Hmm. And to know what you know.
Yeah.
Because the thing about entity awareness is that a lot of people think they know what that is, and a lot of them are functioning from very specified points of view of what that is. So, like, only certain people have entity awareness, or if you're going to have entity awareness, it always looks like this, or things like that. And actually, what we do is we give people the information that it can look like whatever it actually looks like for you. So, the valuable part of all of this information is that you know how it is that you know things. And so, like you were saying, Brett, how do you know if your house has some entities in it? And sometimes, it's like it could be that there's one there, you've just moved into a new house, there's one there. The house feels a little bit wonky to you. It could be that you've been in the house for a really long time and then all of a sudden something shifts and changes. And because they can come and go, they can come into a house and leave a house just like people and bodies can come into houses and leave houses. So there's lots of different, I think, ways in which people look at this. And it's really more about like, what do you know about it?
Right.
Is it, when you said ask a question, is this an entity? And then you just look at, okay, does that feel light and expansive? If it does, that's usually true. And if it feels like when you ask, is this an entity, if it just kind of feels like nothing, or it just kind of feels like everything gets a little bit more contractive, that means that, that it may be something different. But that's really where you want to start, is asking a question.
Right, because when you ask a question, you get the awareness. Like we've been told that we can't know, but that's absolutely not true. And how
Yeah.
do I know that's not true? Because when I say it's not true, it makes me feel really light. And
Yeah.
so if you ask like, "Is
Yeah.
this an entity?" Yeah, and you start like laughing or
Hmm.
smiling, or you just like feel better. That is the indication of what's true for you.
Yeah.
So all those times where you've been having fun, laughing, like that's where you're actually being more of you and being more of what's true for you. So
Yeah.
with this whole entity thing, if your house is haunted, have you ever like walked under a bridge somewhere or like in a place and you kind of felt like really creeped out?
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good indication that there is actually an entity or some energy that you were aware of there. When you
Yes.
go into creep out, or when your body like kind of tenses up or gives you the
Yeah.
information like, oh, we're freaked out here. It's
Yes.
always something that you're aware of that you're not willing to be aware of.
Yeah.
So like I know for me, like in the basement in my house, I would always be creeped out. I'd run up the stairs every friggin' time, like thinking there was somebody following me. But I thought I was crazy. There actually was somebody following me. They just didn't have a body.
Right. And that's another one of the ways in which you can know if a house is haunted, is if you feel like you're being watched when
Yeah.
you're in your home and you're like, quote unquote, by yourself. If you feel like you're being watched, or there's stuff behind you, or there's, I mean, and for a lot of, like, that's a lot of times how I'll know is I'll be just kind of have that sense that there's something behind me, and I'll look and there's nothing there. Or, so it is really a sense thing. It is really like, what are you perceiving? And then going to a question of, is this an entity, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you ask that question, is this an entity? And you start to go like, oh, maybe it is. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's most likely an entity thing that's going on. Like, when you listen to a song and it reminds you of your grandma, is that actually, does it just remind you of your grandma, or is she actually there?
Yeah, yeah, is it your awareness that she's actually there? So I can feel everybody's question marks in the universe of like, okay, so say I have that experience and I ask the question and I get that, and yes, it is an entity. The entity is like, now what? So Brett and I actually have a show coming up in 2 weeks, and that show is going to go into more dynamically what you could actually do next. So once you actually get that, yes, there is something here that I could look at, then what else? And so we're really excited about doing that.
Yes, it's called Help, My House is Haunted. So if you find out, yes, your house is haunted, we have some tools and techniques and questions, and we'll have people calling in asking their questions too. So yeah, I guess if you're watching this in the future and we've already done this show, then the link will be right below for you to watch it. So
Yes.
enjoy, and see you later.
See you later.
Bye bye.